indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call, please.
Powell,
Here.
Hayes. Here. Barstow.
Here.
Lee. Hicken.
Here.
Walter.
Here.
Carter.
Here.
We're just missing Tommy. Okay, we have a quorum present. The public hearing tonight is to consider the following amendment. Ordinance 2017-4293, an ordinance amending section 1221.05 of the codified ordinances of the city of Pataskala and repealing all other ordinances and parts of the ordinances in conflict therewith. Presentation, please.
Thank you, sir. This section 122105 is a section of the code that addresses accessory buildings, so sheds, pole barns, detached garages, etc. In May of 2015, this section was amended, partly because it had conflicting regulations where there was one section that was specifically designed for accessory buildings, and there was also rules for accessory buildings in each individual residential zoning classification, and they were in conflict. So it became, one would say do A, one would say do B, they'd be in direct conflict, so that was amended to clarify that issue so we wouldn't have that problem. Also, there was a lot of variances being requested from this section of the code, so the mentality was that if you have a section of the code that a lot of folks have to apply for variances for, and then those variances are in turn approved, then essentially you're making getting a shed permit $300 more expensive and taking additional time in addition to staff resources to do it. So it seemed like it was an unnecessary step that we need all these variances, then clearly the code isn't working for the residents. So in May, after that was updated, we saw a decrease in the number of variances that were being requested for things such as setbacks, things of that nature. Also, there was a number of variances being requested for the size of accessory buildings. The code was tweaked so that instead of it being on a scale based upon your property size, it was, the formula used in the code was designed so it would specifically be designed for your property size, not a scale of if you're 1 to 2 acres, 2 to 3, etc. It was designed to be specific to your property size. So the thought would be that would correct that issue. However, since we've updated that section of the code, that has not been the case. So since this was amended, we've had 14 variances for accessory buildings since May of 2015. And all but one of those was approved. And the code recommends that the size be increased no more than 25% over the maximum allowed. The Board of Zoning Appeals had approved some increases up to 365% over what was allowed. So the same mentality came back that we have an issue with this section of the code that people are having to request variances, and then these variances are approved. So clearly this is not working for the residents because the permit became $300 more expensive and the time added on to go through the variance process when we ultimately, you could tell what the result would be. So in June, staff brought this issue to the Development Committee, and we discussed different options about how to proceed forward. Ultimately, it was decided that for lots less than 2 acres, the maximum permitted size would be increased by 100%, and then the size limitation for properties 2 acres or greater would be done away with. And the thought would be that setbacks, again, on these large parcels, it's typically well and septic, so location of wellheads, septic systems would ultimately limit how big the accessory building could actually go. So attached to the ordinance, there is a red line version. Essentially, that's what happened. 2 acres or less than 2 acres, the maximum permitted size increases by 100%. Anything 2 acres or greater, there is no maximum permitted size. So that's the only thing that changed. And again, the thought was we have these variances from a section of the code, and we always have to do this. Clearly, it's not working, and it doesn't seem fair to add additional time and cost to someone who might want to put up a pole barn, shed, et cetera. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
That sounds extremely reasonable in a rural area that we are in. So any questions for Scott? Okay, public comments. Anybody wish to speak about this particular ordinance that we're discussing right now? Okay, seeing none, I'll move to adjourn. I need a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Hicken,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Walther. Discussion? And roll, please.
Powell,
Yes.
Hayes.
Yes.
Barstow.
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Hicken,
Yes.
Walther,
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Council meeting will be in 3 minutes, so don't get too comfortable.
Yeah, don't go too far.